Shit, I think you're listening to Frank Prattle.
Tonight you're mine completely.
This is a special edition of Frank Prattle. We go inside the New York art world and the economic collapse that's affecting everyone right now.
And everyone's in so much fear about losing the jobs that they have. So nobody wants to rock the boat or do anything or ask for more money. And they're willing to do anything.
Definitely people have less money to spend on going to art events as well as on the fundraising side of things. So a lot of the companies that I work for are struggling to bring in the amount of donor money that they have previously brought in, or they've lost grant money for certain programs that now they're trying to cover that loss of grants with donor money and fundraising, and that is proving very difficult.
I've noticed that sales have dropped off, and that there's been buyers are looking more to more sure things, bluer chip artists.
You know, all the major galleries are doing business. It seems like they're doing business as usual. You know, I mean, there are precautions that are being taken. You know, programs are being scaled back. I think departments at auction houses are being consolidated. You know, a lot of people are just like, it seems like they're really battening down the hatches, but ultimately, I mean, the last few sales, like at Christie's and Sotheby's, seem to have done quite well. You know?
Well, in general, at the auction houses, prices have been going down of works. But of course, there was that blip a few months ago with the East End Rock collection, which was probably the highest grossing auction ever.
There is a sense that people aren't maybe worrying as much about getting into galleries and showing and selling. That there's sort of a more optimistic feeling among artists, even though the overall sales climate is kind of scarier. People are less worried.
What's interesting is I feel like, New York, you're kind of, it's hard to gauge what's really going on in the rest of the world. I mean, being here, because it's not as, the carnage of this whole recession is not as apparent in New York. I was traveling out west not long ago, and it's much more visible there. Where just sort of the meat and potatoes type jobs are really happening, and I think what'll be interesting, though, to digress from that statement is there's been so much growth in the art market and so many galleries. My God, it's just insane. The whole East Side, Lower East Side has just exploded, and everyone's and there's just a lot of young people, a lot of young money, and just small galleries. And I'm just I'm wondering if there will be some sort of because of people really kind of holding on to their pocketbooks now and very reluctant to invest in younger, less established artists. I'm just curious to see how some of these newer galleries will how they'll fare. I mean, because ultimately I feel like in the art world economy, there's only really a handful of collectors that keep the whole thing in business. And in terms of auction houses, it's these few collectors kind of pass the work amongst themselves, and that's how it works.
When do you think this recession will be over?
That's an interesting question. I don't really see an end to it. It hasn't gotten any better. If anything, there'll be a couple months where it just kind of seems like everything's kind of okay, and then it seems like it's getting worse, and I think people are getting more scared. But I don't see it going away anytime soon. I don't think there's a magic, January 2010, recession, done.